Welcome to Food Truck Diaries. My buddy TJ Dillashaw just got done cutting to 125 pounds. Not cool. So I decided to feed him lobster rolls from a food truck. That's right, the best goddamn lobster rolls you've ever heard of. Ladies and gentlemen, TJ Dillashaw. How you doing? I'm great. Let's see. You want to start? Or you want me to start, TJ?
You go for it, man.
All right. Can I get the Connecticut roll?
And then I'm gonna do your lobster tail and tots.
God, that's such a good choice, man.
Oh yeah, you can go on those.
So that's
one for you, champ. Where can we sit down? Where should we do this at? Can we do it here? Now some people would think it's a little sketchy eating lobster rolls out of a food truck, but I'm telling you, man.
If you stand by it,
I'm telling you, I'm a food truck connoisseur. This show's called Food Truck Diaries. I've eaten all sorts of food trucks. That's how the show got the legs. It's the best lobster roll, and I've had it in Maine. I've had them in Boston. I've had them in New York. There's none better than this. I'm curious though, because it says the owner's back there. It says Cousin's Maine Lobster. So the lobster comes from Maine. Are they flying that fresh in every day?
That's a good question.
It's delicious either way.
Yeah. It's hard to mess up lobster, I feel like.
Lobster's weird when you think about it. They're the bugs of the sea.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're basically eating the insect.
Didn't they say that they used to feed these to prisoners back in the day because it had like no flavor and like?
Oh yeah.
Like they used to feed that to like the prisoners before it became like a good cuisine.
Good gig if you're the prisoner in the old school. Best meal you've had since your fight?
It's up there for sure. It's a perfect time for me to do the show because I'm Fat Tyler right now.
You're Fat Tyler?
My real name's Tyler, so I've told on Rogan's show, like my buddy, my old wrestling, or my old training teammate, Justin Buckles, after every one of my fights, I'd get so big. My face would swell up, I'd get huge. And
This is Fat Tiger? Or,
Fat Tyler.
Fat Tyler?
Yeah, I've been trying to maintain it.
Dude, you don't look fat.
Dude, I got
You're Fat Tyler. I'm fucking behemoth Brendan. I mean, I am thick right now, bro.
I've been trying to maintain it, man. I've been trying to control. I've been working out already. I've been at Sam's garage, so I've been trying not to get too crazy. Because I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if I'm going up or we're going down with this next fight.
You have no idea.
Should hopefully find out soon, man.
And are you the type of guy, because I'm the type of guy, when I'm stressed out, I don't do drugs, I don't drink,
No.
I eat.
Yes.
I eat.
And then you get pissed because you're getting fat, so you eat more.
Yeah. I'm like, God dang it. Oh.
Yeah, man. I mean, I got big quick. I was up in the 60s right away, and so I was like, oh shit, I gotta get back in the gym. Like, my body was ready to just absorb everything.
I bet. And
Like I said, I walked out at 149, man. Like, my body instantly bounced right back. Like, and that's what I'm like the most mad about this last fight was the fact that I didn't get to prove how good I felt. I can say it all I want.
I think it's frustrating for everyone because even for Cejudo, amazing win. He did his job. It's not his fault. The ref, jumped in and busted early and stopped the fight. You know what I'm saying? So it's no one's fault. I just think overall, whether you're Dana White, whether you're a fan, whether you're in the TJ Dillashaw camp, whether you're in the Henry Cejudo camp, whether you're the managers, everyone's kind of unsatisfied.
Obviously, I'll take the fight wherever. I have no dictation to say where it's going to take place.
But
right?
why do it at 25?
Why?
Yeah.
Because
there's no one there anymore.
It's true, but I want to prove like all the work that Sam put in, all the stuff that I put in. I didn't get a real shot to really show it. Like
That's fair.
I put in a lot of work, man. I put in a lot of dedication and the science behind it, how great I felt. I'm telling you right now, I've never felt better before a fight.
And you're ready to go back and jump back into that kind of weight?
It's going to suck, but it's going to be easier this time. Especially I've already done it. So this time I won't make weight the night before either. I was so nervous about making weight. I made it the night before. I woke up on weight, ready to weigh in. I was the first one to weigh in on the scale, Yeah. This time I'll probably wake up and cut the last 3 or 4 pounds just because I know I can do it.
So then, if it's up to you, you'll fight Cejudo at 125 again.
If I chose, yeah, I mean...
Do you have any information if that's going to happen? Did they tell you what they want?
They told me instantly they wanted to run it back, right? Like, as soon as it happened, this is fucking bullshit, they wanted to run it back. So it's obviously having to convince Cejudo to want to do it. I mean, he's talking about wanting to save the flyweight division. What better way to do it than run this back again?
Agreed.
I want to prove it wasn't a fluke. So we'll see, man. We'll see if he'll man up and do it. I mean, I understand if he doesn't want to put his belt in the line and come to 35s, let's do it there too. I mean, I'll take it.
Would you take any other fight besides Henry Cejudo?
That's the fight I want. If he won't take it, then yeah, I'll take another fight, right? But
who would he fight at 25?
I don't know.
But because for Cejudo,
not for money kind of money.
For a big name fight, he's gonna have to. oblige the rematch, right? And so, and again, this isn't your issue. This is more of the UFC structure issue. But whenever these super fights happen, the rest of the flyweight's just gone. But the rest of the divisions are kind of, they're at a halt. They're at a standpoint. Because you get lightweight, you look at your division.
Yep.
You look at these other weight classes, like, you know, Marlon Moraes would be a great competitor. He's on a super hot streak. He calls you out right after the fight, right?
Of course, yeah.
And then he goes, you know, I don't know if he deserves the fight, right? He has to have something.
Yeah, he did his job, right?
Yeah, he did his job.
He's trying to pump it up, but you know, he's 1-1 with Sensao. He can do a trilogy fight. He can fight the winner of Cody and was he fighting Pedro Munoz, or is it
Oh, Pedro Munoz.
Yeah, he's fighting Pedro Munoz March 2nd. He can fight the winner of that one. I mean, at least so I can go and handle my business, you know. That's something I want to get back, man. I want that fight back. It's something that really, really irritates me. I'm already motivated. I'm back in the gym. It was one of those shots that I took behind the ear.
I know.
You know, they just kind of took, and that's another thing with the ref too. He needs to know, like, what happened. You know what I mean? Like, not saying that wasn't illegal. It's completely 100% legal. The fact that he should know how quick I can bounce back from that. It wasn't like I got smoked on the jaw and I'm completely out of it. When you get hit behind the ear, you just lose your equilibrium.
Off.
You're there.
So you're there, but you can't gather your
thoughts. I have a grown-ass man on top of me trying to finish me, right?
But here's my other thing to your defense on that. You guys are also 125 pounds.
Yeah.
If you don't stop it early, it's not like Cain Velasquez or Francis Ngannou's blasting you in the face. Like, if anything, let it go on a little longer, especially when a belt's on the line. Like, you got to make sure, man.
100%. I agree, man. Obviously, I'm going to agree because I want this back, but it bugs me. It bugs me every day. I mean, I have to, like, really control myself from not wanting to get pissed off, punch a wall when I walk by it. You know, it's something I'm controlling. So, but I'll take the fight wherever. I'll fight whoever. If it's Marlon Moraes, if it's Cejudo. It is what it is. I just
don't see him doing anything outside of Henry Cejudo. Like, it's kind of unfinished business, even though Cejudo won. It's just like that's lingering out there. Like, it's tough for either one of you to move on.
Yeah, it sucks for him to have to answer that question. Be like, oh, did you really beat TJ? This and that sucks.
It sucks for you. It sucks for him. Even though he's the champ, it kind of sucks for everyone, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you would do with it. Besides just eat lobster rolls until they call you for the fight.
Put a real smile on my face.
Yeah, until they call you for the fight.
Heck yeah.
Are you a guy who stays on point with what's going on with UFC? Do you watch the fights? Are you a fan?
I don't.
Or do you get away from it?
I try to get away from it. Everyone's asked me, oh, did you watch the Marlon? And since I didn't even watch it. You know, when I'm not fighting, I try to escape it because it's like taking work home with you. You know.
Agreed.
I'd rather go home and hang out with my son and my wife, or go do some sort of vacation. Just get out of town, not really focus on it. You know, It kind of almost gives me anxiety to watch fights.
Agreed.
Because I'm thinking like, all right, I'm walking out. I need to go get in the gym. I need to train.
You get stressed.
Yeah, man. It really just gives me anxiety. You know, I mean, you want to talk about like these MMA fighters always been big, tough badasses, but you know, we get nervous, you know, like I think about fights, I think about all the bullshit, I think about like what people are saying because of the last fights when I'm watching fights, you know. So
do you pay attention to social media at all?
A little bit.
Does it get to you or no?
No, I've learned to not let it get to me.
Probably through the history with Cody Garbrandt, right? Like that social media storm kind of build that fight up. There's negative things said about Cody, there's negative things said about you. So I'd assume you have God damn it, you have a pretty thick skin when it comes to social media.
The whole off mouth situation definitely helped me out with that for sure.
Are you guys all good now? Like, it's over. Alpha Man should be cool.
I don't talk to some of the guys. Some of them cross the line. Like, I won't fucking forgive them for it because we used to be boys and they did some shit that I won't let them forgive them for, you know. But yeah, I'm still cool with a lot of them still, you know. But yeah, it's over, which is nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, gives you a good little escape.
Because I'm sure after you weren't planning to lose that fight, but it's tough, man, not to go into a kind of a dark place. Even though you have your kid there and life's all good and you're still the champ at 135, it's a tough gig, man.
It's funny you don't feel like the champ, though.
You don't feel like the champ?
When you lose something like that, yeah, it's like a fucking loss. It pisses me off. Like, I don't, like, it's one of those things I gotta, like, remind myself of. Like, my wife's like, best case scenario, this and that. It's like, fuck that, you know? Like, I fucking lost, man, you know?
And I say this, I told Rogan this, I tell everyone when your name gets brought up, I've been around a lot of competitive guys. You name it. I mean, I've been Shane Carwin, Tim Tebow. They're as competitive as they get. And Lobster Bowling goes, dude, you were competitive. I'm telling you. Lobster Bowling is a mutual wrestling coach of ours. He's my head coach when I fought in the UFC. He goes, I've never seen, and he's seen it all. He's a wrestling coach since he was like 3. He goes, you've never seen someone more competitive than TJ. Alpha Male says the same thing. So I know when you lost that fight, it must just suck. Like for me, when I lost the fight, it sucked, but I was like, I wasn't as balls deep into as you was. I was like, all right, I'll figure it out. But for you, I know it's just going through your mind over and over and over.
For sure, man. I mean, that's why, like, and people want to say I'm a sore loser. This and that. I never said I wasn't a sore loser.
Yeah.
I fucking hate losing. If it's a putting something on the line, I put my whole life into something and I end up losing, especially a controversial decision, yeah, I'm not gonna be happy about it. I'm gonna talk some shit. I'm gonna be pissed, but I end up swallowing it up eventually and figuring out and rolling on with it. But
yeah, you seem good now.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of work. It definitely takes a lot of work to figure it all out and to swallow it and swallow your pride. And then shoot for your next goal. I mean, me being back in the gym helps out as well too.
I bet being around the guys.
Yeah, getting back with Sam Calvita, getting in working out.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, you go back to the gym, and there's not a bigger Aaron Pico fan on this earth than me. Everyone knows I ride that dude's dick hard.
I do too, though,
the
man.
LeBron James of MMA.
I do too.
I think he's the next big prospect. Even after he lost it, but hey, get on his nuts now because I'm telling you, he's going to be world champion. It's easy to jump on and talk shit about this kid, but I'm telling you, he's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
I've seen him train, seen him fight. I know too many people in the business, like Bob Cook, yourself, Lobster, everyone tells me how talented this kid is. Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach doesn't work with any MMA guys. And he took me to the side. He was like, I'm telling you, man, this kid could be a world champion in boxing, in MMA. It's a given. I'm telling you, he's going to be the next big thing. So I co-signed like a motherfucker. I mean, I know you do.
Yep.
What's it like? Like, you guys went through this camp. You had this huge fight. He obviously has so much pressure on him because everyone's like riding his nuts. And then he gets knocked out. Obviously, you get clipped behind the ear.
Yeah.
Then you guys just look at, like, you back in the gym like, what the fuck, man?
I haven't seen him since the fight. He does a good job of making sure to escape, reset. I'm a huge fan of his as well too because I know how good he is and how good he's going to be. But the problem is he practices just like he fights. He lives by the sword. He dies. He wants to bully you. He wants to knock you out. Not only does he want to be the best fighter in the world, he wants to be entertaining. Like, he could have jumped on that guy after he dropped him, and he uses world-class wrestling. Yeah. He wants to.
Does he not do it in training?
He does, man. He uses wrestling. He takes me down. Like, I hate getting taken down.
I heard you two go at it.
We do. Yeah, we go. I mean, I'm one of those guys who's going to go hard in practice. I act like I'm fighting every day. I don't want to get beat at anything, and he's even more competitive than me. I promise you.
No way.
We'll be at Sam Calvita's doing like strength conditioning. We have like this arm peddler, like first one to race to a mile, right? You have to stay in a plank and you're hitting an arm peddler and you have to like crush it to a mile. And Sam will be reading off the numbers, who's where, and we'll stay neck and neck, and he'll end up beating me. And he'll stand up and you swear to God you feel like you won a world title, like, yeah, like yelling in your face. Beast. Yeah, just like no matter what it is, he pushes the pace. He goes hard.
What a great training partner. What a great guy, and a great guy for him to be around than you. Yeah. So obviously you're where he wants to go. What do you think it is? Why he keeps losing? To me, it has to be an experience thing, which you can say experience, but at the same time too, it has to be a bit of an ego thing because I know he knows he's better than these guys that he's lost to. But you also have to have respect for the game because the game does not care. Yeah. So like he's kind of using this Leonard Garcia type of vibe where he outclasses the guy, and then when he's hurt, he'll go wild. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You think it's just experience?
I think it's how young he is and experience. I think. I think these experiences I'm hoping are going to teach him that like MMA is really crazy. Anything can happen. You got to fight sometimes like George St. Pierre. You got to take the smart way about it and use your world-class wrestling.
But even with a straight, like you've done that. Yeah. Like you've had fights where you didn't go and just heat-seeking missile trying to knock dudes out.
Yeah.
Like we've had to use footwork like against freaking Dominic Cruz, against Soto, that last minute change. Like sure you could have just went in there and tried ripping his head off, but I don't understand him. Like how does someone, when he doesn't go in, just go, dude, listen, you know what I want you to do? I want you to take this fight to the third round.
Yeah.
Take him down. Whatever you gotta do, if you knock him out early, we're gonna be pissed, man. Yeah, I want you to take him to the third round. Drag him to the third round. Do that. And he's gonna end up knocking him out just by his sheer skill set.
I wish I had a little bit more hands-on about his training. I train with him. I do my strength conditioning with him. He comes in and spars. I'll come in and do some wrestling stuff. But he's got so many guys pulling him in different directions to train. You know, he's going to Freddie Roach's. He's at McKee's gym. He's this and that. And I don't want to overstep my bounds and be like, look, man, this is what you should do. I'd rather him come to me and ask kind of thing.
God, he's going to see this. Pico, do what he's doing, man.
Yeah.
Like, just follow TJ. It's so frustrating, man.
But it's hard to say, too, because the kid's just so good. You know, it's like...
He's so good, and I think that's what's so frustrating.
It is.
Because also, there's been phenoms like him before, and like John Jones, where at 21, he beat the shit out of Shogun, and was also calculated, heard him, and then stayed back, went to the body, dropped him with a body shot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's a phenom.
Yeah.
Pico has the same skill, if not more.
I think he's got even more. I mean, John Jones gets away with his physical attributes. You know, he's smart and he uses them, right? Pico's got physical attributes, but he's not like super long. He uses that, right?
He's actually small for the division.
Yeah, I think just technically and how hard he works is what gets him there. You know, technically he's very good.
It's the most frustrating thing in MMA for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
I just want to take him aside and like, listen, I know we're not boys. Dude, I'm telling you, you gotta focus, man. You gotta follow TJ, man.
Yeah, as much as I like care about the guy because I train with him, like I need to maybe get out of my shell and like really speak up a little bit more. I've been trying not to overstep my bounds and kind of let him follow the role and come around, you know. But we'll see, because I'm a huge fan of the guy and I had a lot of belief in him. So
yeah,
I mean, obviously, you are listening, and
I know.
Let's get it done.
He knows this, man.
Yeah.
He knows this. So you got a great team.
Yeah, man.
You're getting back into it. Besides Pico, who else you guys got there? Is Munoz your wrestling coach?
He's like kind of like our head coach, I guess you would call him, for the training lab. I mean, obviously my head coach is Dwayne Ludwig. He comes in for my camps. But right now, Mark Munoz is running most of the practices there for MMA, wrestling.
Dude, we got to get Munoz on Food Truck Diaries. I don't know if you've seen Munoz lately. He's fight at 85.
Yeah.
That fool will eat all the lobster.
Dude, he's...
Shout out to Mark Munoz.
Yeah.
Stay thick, bro. Right? He's thick.
You won't even be able to interview him. He'll be eating the whole time.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's what I want.
He's the jolliest guy, man. But he's been our main head coach. We got Daryl Christian doing our wrestling. We got Felipe. I'm doing jiu-jitsu with Felipe De Monica. Strength conditioning with Sam Calavita, our coach boss. And then Dwayne comes in for my camps and runs practices when he's out here.
You got a great camp.
I'm trying to convince him to move out here and start a fight team.
It's smart. It's still a hotbed out here.
Yep. Oh, we got to do. If Dwayne came out and we started a team together, we'd have people knock on the door down the train.
Guarantee it, man.
Yeah. There's no one that puts more time into making guys better than Dwayne Ludwig. So I'm hoping that I can convince him and start him coaching the training lab kind of thing. But it's a work in process.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
One of the Showtimes guys, you've had a verbal kind of sparring session with Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
Where are you at on that? What do you think of him?
Oh man, I think he's got a pretty padded record in the boxing world.
For sure. By padded, you mean he's fought nobody?
Yeah. And then
Showtime's gonna edit that out.
He called me out after my fight against Cody, and so I had a little Twitter beef with him going back and forth.
Which is weird. Why do you think he did that? Just for the attention?
Just for attention, because there's no way he's gonna fight MMA. You know?
No.
He was talking about he'd come beat me in an MMA fight, and I was calling him out for it. I was like, dude, I'll even come to boxing. You know, I would love to do it. I train with the best in the world. The guys you're avoiding, like the Lomachenkos. You know, Lomachenko tried fighting him, he avoided him. I go up and train with Lomachenko in Oxnard. You know.
And what's it like when you train with Lomachenko? Do you get kind of an idea where you're at as far as pure boxing? Obviously, Lomachenko,
he's the greatest.
Vasily Lomachenko is the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world.
Yeah.
So when you go with him, do you get an idea of how? Because I think because Conor fought Floyd Mayweather, there seems to be almost this kind of arrogance in mixed martial arts that they can go fight pro boxing at that level. And it's just a different game.
You need to put in some serious time in that boxing range. It's a different kind of cardio. It's a different kind of range. Going with Lomachenko, he's the one guy I feel like, because I've been around a lot of boxers now. I go out to Joel Diaz's gym out in Palm Springs. I do a lot of training out there. I've seen Terrence Crawford train. I've trained at his gym and his camp. I've trained with Lomachenko. The thing about Lomachenko is that he actually treats, I feel like, boxing like martial artists, like a wrestler. A lot of boxing gyms, you just go in there and you get down. You hit mitts and you bang it out. Lomachenko, his dad and his coaches, like, they're doing a lot of drilling, a lot of like foot placement, a lot of like reaction time drills, a lot of mental training. I feel like he's one of those guys that's going above and beyond in his training compared to a lot of boxers.
Well, his dad kind of had him as this mixed martial competitor because he was doing gymnastics, soccer, everything. He pulled him out of boxing, forced him to do gymnastics and ballet for 4 years, dude.
Crazy. And then put him back into boxing.
So when you go with him, they're using you as what kind of tool? Probably your footwork, your movement, the distance is different?
I only got to spar with him one time. I've gotten to go to his camp now multiple times and work with some other guys like Fozzy.
Yeah.
Fozzy works out there. I got to work out with him. More just to kind of be around the training. I got to spar with him one time after Ultimate Fighter because we have a mutual manager, social media manager that put us in touch.
Oh, that's cool.
And they're just super welcoming people, so they let me do it. They didn't need me, right? They didn't need me for the footwork. He was fighting a guy that was actually a little more flat-footed. We just did it for the experience. You know, he knew I was a big fan.
Yeah, which is great.
You know, and yeah. So, I mean, I actually feel like when I went out there and sparred with him, and I felt a little down on myself, like how I performed. A lot of guys there were like, no, man, you did great. You know, and then I watch him fight, I'm like, oh, actually,
he's the best in the world.
Actually did pretty good, not too bad, you know.
He's the best in the world.
Yeah, he's a cardio machine. His reaction times are insane. I feel like he knows what I'm going to throw before I throw it.
How do you think a fight between him and Gervonta Davis would go?
Oh, he would destroy him. Like, Gervonta Davis is like a brawling power puncher.
They call him the tank, yeah.
Yeah, and he would just pick him apart. He would just be like, he's too slow, wouldn't be in the right spots. He wouldn't be able to find him. You know, he would pepper him so much he'd either want to quit or he'd finish him.
That's fair. So we're on the same page there, bro. Well, dude, I fed you. We need to get this in because I know you're asking cut to 125 soon.
I hope
They're going to call you, I'm sure, and you're going to be back on the 125. And you're going to be in camp thinking of these lobster rolls.
I will, actually. Even just the bread, dude, that's one thing I miss. I miss some complex carbs.
And I want you to know this. I know, dude. I crave this. And I want you to know that anyone who's gone on the show and ate with the food trucks is undefeated. So
I'm talking about.
Good luck, brother.
Oh, I know. I don't need the luck, man. I just need to get it done. I just need the chance to prove it. You know,
you're gonna get it, man.
Prove it wasn't a fluke, and let's do that trilogy. You know?
Let's do it, man.
Heck yeah.
Appreciate it.
Heck yeah.
TJ Dillashaw, everybody.